was the moment you realized private school is overrated? I came home from work one day to the sound of my 8-year-old son crying alone in his room. They're out to get me, he whispered. Well, I immediately grabbed his iPad and noticed he had been binge-watching Fortnite gameplay. So I assumed that he was just a little overstimulated and told him there would be no iPad until the end of the week. But it didn't help, because over the next few days, he kept trying to get out of going to school, left fake vomit in a bowl by his bed, pretended to be dizzy, hot tea against his forehead to fake a fever. I thought I could see right through his tricks, but as a single dad, you never really feel like you're making the right decision. So I did what any rational father would do in that situation. I called my mother-in-law, Hannah. You see, his birth mom was out of the picture, and I didn't have any other female figures in his life that I trusted. Plus, she always told me I could call at any time, and this was any time, LOL. When she came over, I told her everything that was going on, and she agreed to go undercover. Nothing crazy, just promised to volunteer as a parent chaperone on his school trip. I figured Abel, my son, would try to argue back or say that he was embarrassed, but instead, his face completely lit up. "Yay! Thank you, Mommy!" he yelled, before stretching his tiny arms to fit around her thick body. Me and my mother-in-law just glared at each other, and I knew we were both thinking the same thing. What the F is going on at school? Well, I didn't have to wait much longer to find out, because halfway through the trip, I got the call. It was his class teacher. She was chewing gum so loudly that I could barely hear what she was saying. "Okay, so, your son, literally pushed over some kid right in front of my face. So, we're gonna suspend him, just until we figure out what actually happened, you know?" "Okay," I responded, trying to keep my voice completely neutral. When they finally got home, my heart was ripped out of my chest, because Abel's face was even more swollen than SpongeBob's thumb in that one episode. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law's eyes were glued to the ground. I brought them both over to the couch and asked what happened. "Daddy, I told you they were after me," my son blurted out. My mother-in-law, Hannah, just walked away, like she couldn't bear to relive the story. "Daddy, they said my skin looked like the color of poo-poo. I tried to ignore their mean words, but they kept going, Daddy. Kyle told me Mommy left because she didn't want a monkey baby like me." I felt tears sting my eyes. You see, me and my family are purebred Ethiopians, and I had been blessed to be able to send my son to an excellent school in Silicon Valley. And I knew it was a mostly white school, but I thought racism was a thing of the past. Apparently not. I asked my son what he did in response, and he told me that he had lost his cool and told him to shut up. And in response, the bully pushed him so hard he fell to the floor. When the teacher turned around, she assumed that my son was the one in the wrong and immediately pulled him away from the group. I felt myself choke up and sniffle to hold back the tears when he said that. The room was silent for a while, and that's when my mother-in-law came back in. Her arms were filled with products. I instantly recognized them. They were the skin whitening products that she always forced my ex-wife to use. "No," I said, my voice assertive. Hannah turned to face Abel. "Do you want to be bullied again?" My son violently shook his head and got ready to put on the products. I told him to go to his room. "That's not necessary. You were on the trip. You saw what happened. You think they'll actually believe me?" She interrupted. "Look around you. This is a white man's world, and you've seen what happens when you don't play their game." "Number," I repeated. My son was innocent, and I thought that had to count for something. The next morning, all three of us were sitting in the principal's office, trying to look as fresh as possible. My son told the same story he had told me, and to my surprise, Mr. Johnson seemed like he was actually listening. He turned to my mother-in-law and asked for confirmation. All she had to do was say yes, or even just nod, but instead, she chose to deny it. "That's not what happened." My stomach twisted. I watched Abel attack Kyle out of nowhere. He's lying through his teeth. Abel burst into tears and ran out of the room. Long story short, Abel was expelled and blacklisted from all other private schools in the area. As soon as we were alone, I asked my MIL what the actual F she was thinking. "You should be thanking me," she said with a straight face. "Let this be a lesson. Always play the white man's game." She then handed me another skin whitening product from her purse before ordering an Uber home. Luckily, I was able to pull some strings and get a restraining order against her, but that wasn't enough, and I was about to show her exactly why her daughter had left me. Full story on channel, link below.